Hello, and welcome to Have At Us, Reviews for Your Pleasure. I'm Joshua.
And I'm Nietzsche.
This is episode 19, How We Became Magical Girls. Today we are reviewing Puella Magi Madoka Magica. It's a bit of a mouthful, but once you practice it, you got it down.
How many times you practice that?
2 times.
2 times, huh? That's it?
Yep, that's all you need.
That's all anybody needs.
Correct. This will include spoilers. For all 12 episodes, we are only discussing the episodes, none of the movies, none of that, just the episodes. That's your warning. So, first question.
You got it on the ball already.
Most important question.
What is it?
When you become a magical girl, what weapon do you use?
What weapon do I use? Did you actually think about this?
I thought about it for myself.
Okay. I have no thought in my mind about what that would be. At all. So, I got nothing good here. Absolutely nothing good. I feel like this is like a big question, and I feel like I need to have a good answer.
Okay, well, you can think about it.
Uh-huh.
We can come back.
I mean, I'm just gonna cop out, and I'm gonna use a spear, because I played Dragoon in 14. Boom. Cheap.
Okay, fair enough.
Let's hear it. Let's hear your well-thought-out answer. And I need a good explanation. It better not be a bow.
I wasn't gonna go with bow. I was gonna go with my bare hands.
Why would it be your bare hands?
I just feel like you're going to be this badass who's running around fighting witches. Wouldn't it be way cooler if you could just, shred them with your bare hands, make it, really visceral? That just seems like the way to go.
Doesn't make any sense, though. If your body is now just a corporal form that responds to your soul that's not with your body anymore, and it can still take lots of damage, why would you be using your hands? You need some gauntlets or something. You need some actual weapon on your hands to do that.
There's no fun in that. I mean, you could do the wraps, right? You'll see in some things where they wrap cloth of some sort around it. That looks kind of cool.
You're gonna be looking like an undead magical girl?
That's fine.
Besides your musings on if you became a magical girl, what do you got to say about this wonderful show?
I think, man, could they please learn how to draw chins? That's what I think.
Chins, huh?
Yeah.
The chins were a big deal.
It bothered me a lot the whole time. Some of the side profiles are okay. But when you're looking directly at some of these faces, my God. Why does it have to look so stupid?
You know what I never noticed? Their chins.
It's because they don't have any.
I didn't notice they didn't have any either.
There's just this weird... Their face shape is weird, and it bothered me a lot.
I will give you... There were a couple times where I feel like the face drawn in the actual episode was weird. I was like, I don't know what I'm looking at in this scene, but I don't feel like that's the same face I just saw.
The animation consistency was not particularly high. There's some good shots here and there, specifically towards the last few episodes, but there's also just a lot of cheap shots and far away shots where they really show some weird designs, specifically their figures in a couple of the faraway shots was this weird hourglass figure, but exaggerated. It was very weird.
I'm gonna tell you, I didn't notice.
Yeah.
Didn't notice that. But I feel like the animation steadily got better as we went through.
Yeah, I think the ending was mostly okay. There's a couple cool shots with the moon later on. There was some good stuff, but character design in particular was not one of them.
That was not selling it to you, huh?
No.
What was wrong with their character designs?
Well, their face.
Just their chin.
It threw it all off. I mean, they're young. They're middle schoolers. That's all fine. So I don't expect them to be large people. But their face just didn't work. And I thought, well, maybe it's because they're young. But then Madoka's family, I guess her dad looked okay. But her mom had a couple weird shots. It was very weird. It made it look like her mom was a teenager sometimes. And I was like, this isn't right. This doesn't work.
Being all hateful. Why you gotta be so hateful about this animation?
Well, I'm sorry. I mean, there are some things I like.
Name me a good scene.
From the entire show?
Yeah, just one. I just want to know one scene that was stand out, you remember it.
I liked it when Cube got shot.
Just murdered.
Just a lot of bullets at one time, just boom. I thought that was a pretty cool scene.
It was nice because they had all the a lot of shots going off. I didn't count them, but auditorily.
Mm-hmm.
They had that sound going off, and that was good.
Yeah, that was a cool scene.
Mm-hmm. So you liked the murder of an innocent cat, rabbit, weird thing.
He was also my favorite character.
He was your favorite character?
Yeah.
Are you for real right now?
I'm not lying.
This is not a lie.
There's no lie. Kyubey was the best part of this show.
You disappoint me. How was he the best part of this show? Defend this. Let's see it.
He was the one that I was most intrigued by because you know from the get-go, like, this guy, he knows a lot more than what he's saying. He has a lot of knowledge. He ain't giving it up. So, there's that intrigue of him. And then I like how he's just so nonchalant about everything. It's all the same to him. I like how his design is part of what really sells it to me, is that it's always smiling. It's always got a happy face. And he always sounds kind of chipper, no matter what the circumstances. And he's a little backstabbing. He acts a little aloof, but he's always coming up with ways to try to get, like, Madoka the Wish or one of the other girls. I just liked him. I thought he was a cool part.
He's a conniving jerk, and that'd be fine if it wasn't shadowed by, like, he's just an alien and, like, well, he doesn't have a full understanding. It's kind of like he's a robot and he can't process human emotions. And it was just so predictable of, like, yeah, you don't feel like you did anything wrong. Ever. I get it, buddy.
Do you get it because you relate?
Yeah, because I'm a robot.
That makes sense.
That's why I'm liking this show and you're hating on it.
Did you like this show?
I did like this show, actually. I thought it was a pretty decent show. It was sufficiently dark. It wasn't like, man, you pulled your punch, you didn't go as far as you should have went with that. And it wasn't like, well, that was dark for the sake of dark. Right, that was helpful.
Let's hear from you. Who's your favorite character?
Homura, over there, she was great. I really liked how she was cold and impassive and just said what she needed to say, right? Regardless of the consequences or how bad someone was going to feel. I respected that. I appreciated that. I connected with that. But it was nice once you got to see, like, oh, she was like the shy girl and, what the most important detail about that was?
Glasses.
Yeah, nailed it. Glasses. I saw she had glasses and I was like, you win. You're the best. Nobody else has glasses. If only they had tried harder. It's all it takes. Put some good eyewear on.
That was predictable of you.
Yeah, I know it was. But it's still important to say how important it was that she wore glasses. Now, it was a mistake that she took them off, but I understood the reason she did that, so I moved on.
I see. I'll grant you, of the actual magical girls in this show, she's definitely the most entertaining.
I'm aware how entertaining she is, because nobody held a candle to her, and how great she was. We didn't cop out in the end, and just, like, not give me anything, right? We were like, oh, we're gonna actually resolve this. Is it a little ridiculous? Yes.
Oh yeah, one of my thoughts was the ending to this is very, quote, anime, end quote.
I don't know that I think it's, like, super anime necessarily. I feel like it's anime in the sense of, like, wow, this resolved itself magically. But it's a magical girl show. It was going to resolve itself magically. I knew that. But we don't often get the protagonist becomes God. Normally, we gotta go slay God because the enemy has become God. And I appreciated that. I mean, I guess you get like Haru Suzumiya type thing where she is God or something. I'm not exactly clear on how that works. Because it's kind of a weird show and I haven't really watched any of it. I don't have any other good example where you as the protagonist get to like actually become God. You become like super cool often in anime. Like you might as well be God, but you don't actually get to become God. There's a difference.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of anime also plays very fast and loose with the term God. There are some things where people have, like, titles as, like, God of whatever, but they're not, like, an actual, like, being of existence on, like, a higher plane. They're just very strong or hold a lot of power, but it's still a pretty commonly given out title in that sense.
It's a commonly used term, I'll give you that, but I don't think it's commonly used in the way it's used in this show. But it's also like, how are you resolving this massive time loop problem that you've created? We're rewriting the laws of the universe, by the way. Okay, that's a reasonable thing. We didn't get stuck in like trying to do something weird with that.
Yeah.
We just said, look, here it is. It works. You just have to be just engaged enough to not care that this is a little ridiculous. I definitely was.
It does resolve itself with like an ending. But just the whole time I was like, yep, this would be it. I don't know, it just felt predictable. And the last episode felt predictable after the previous episode.
Oh, I figured she was going to become God early. Like the first time they mentioned, like, you could have the power to become God. And I'm like, you will. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
That's a foreshadow line. And I was right.
Fair enough. Now, what did you know about the show before you went into the show?
It was dark, and it's a magical girl show. That's it.
That's it.
That's all I knew. And because people praise this as like, it's dark and good. And I'm like, it is dark. I appreciated that.
Interesting. I knew not much more. I recalled, I should say. When I actually sat down to watch this, I did not have a whole lot of memory of it. As it progressed, and then we mentioned time, I was like, oh yeah, this is a time travel thing. Because I'd remembered that just because of the year it came out in, being related to like Steins Gate and how they were both pretty popular that year and both dealt with time traveling. And so when I saw that, I was like, oh yeah, I'd forgotten all about that. But then I kind of recalled it. And then I kind of knew that Madoka would become God. I'm pretty sure I had read that somewhere, just unrelated to anything. But I didn't really have any context. So I kind of knew it, but again, it was one of those things where it's like, as we got closer, I was like, oh yeah, I'm recalling these things. But going into it, it was mostly the same. I had seen in a video before on YouTube the scene where Mommy gets eaten, or her head gets eaten. I'd seen that before, so I knew that happened, but that's all I had really seen of it visually.
It's a real good scene.
You think so?
I do. I suppose we should probably just walk through the story and hit these points as we go.
All right, let's do it.
And so, where do you actually start with this?
Well, it starts with Madoka having a dream.
Yeah, it starts with her having a dream, but it seemed like that was kind of like her maybe having lived that, and then the time got reversed, and then she felt like it was a dream necessarily. I'm not sure. I don't know that that's how that was supposed to work, but that's how I decided it probably worked by the end.
Well, I think that's how it is in retrospect, but you wouldn't know that from the beginning.
She has her weird dream, and then, we get the transfer student coming in, right? Well, you meet her and her friends.
Yeah.
And you got the important scenes. Her and her mother at the sink together.
Yeah, they kind of did that a couple times. And
then we forgot about it. We said it wasn't important.
Yeah, runtime.
Now, the thing I will criticize about that is that I didn't need the random shot to the drain so many times.
No? You don't like looking at drainage?
I just didn't know what was the point of it. It was just weird and kind of stupid. Like, it didn't convey anything to me. I was like, this is a bad choice. Why are you doing this? Like, once, as like maybe a filler spot because you didn't have anything good you wanted to put there, that's fine. But it happens like multiple times a conversation.
I don't know. It didn't bother me. Whatever.
Nope. It broke the scenes a little bit.
Okay.
And I kind of liked those scenes.
Okay.
I liked her mother a lot.
Yeah, I liked her
mom. Look. The nice purple look. It was doing it for me. I really liked it. Okay. I didn't have a problem with her lack of a chin or how young she looked. Not weird like you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And then I guess you meet the rest of her family. And they are their family members.
Yeah. Mr. Dad, Mr. Brother.
I was like, great, you guys are cool, I guess. I don't really care about you.
Yeah, they're really not that important.
I mean, they're important because Madoka cries.
She cries a lot.
She does cry a lot. But she cries over how good his cooking was.
That was it. Or how bad it was.
No, it's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good when I'm alive. That's what she said. Exactly like that, too. That's what the dub is. We didn't watch it in dub, but I can tell you that's how good the dub is.
Yeah, they should hire you for all dubs.
I'd be a good person to do dubs.
I agree. I think you would be astounding at it.
But until then, I guess we gotta plow forward. So then we get the transfer student meeting. You meet her friends, you get the transfer student, and then things take off, basically.
Do a little walk along in a really weird classroom. Now, actually, this is one thing I was a little weird about. So I'm kind of confused about where in the timeline this show is supposed to take place. Because there's aspects of it that are futuristic, but then also aspects that are mundane. And so it was really weird. And it's never really addressed. It's just a time period with some parts of technology being advanced. And then the school has like these like glass walls for all the classrooms. So it looks really weird. It's a very strange look.
It's a very like futuresque looking classroom, but at the same time, yeah, nothing else is that futuristic. I'll give you. That was a weird point. Like they did really good about like tying up a lot of ends for their story and stuff and making sure things were addressed. And then they were like, time period consistency, not relevant.
It's just weird. Whatever. It's not that important. But
Like, I don't feel like any other building looks as futuresque as the school. There's no, like, flying cars or something, or, like, I never see them pull out, like, a cool-looking cell phone or something, or...
Well, there's a scene where Madoka's at her desk, and her keyboard is not an actual keyboard. It looks like it's like a laser on the wood.
Yeah.
And, like, we kind of have things like that now, but I don't know that that was a thing in 2011.
Yeah, but my deal is that their desks and the school is really futuresque, right?
Yeah.
It has cool things. Their desks fold down. It tells you they're absent, right? Which means their desks have to come up when they come in and stuff and all of that. That's pretty cool. I don't know why you need that, really, but it's there. But then nobody has, like, a cell phone at all?
Well, they mention cell phones, but they always forget it. So,
Yeah, and I'm like, nobody has something cool, or like, it just didn't feel like the rest of the world fit the classroom.
It was weird.
I'll give you, that was a weird deal. But my good friend, she knows exactly where the nurse's office is.
Almost like she's been there before.
A lot of times.
Whoa. Unbelievable. I never would have guessed.
But then they go hang out, right? And they're doing their thing, and
Well,
Kyubey starts to die.
Madoka and Sayaka go and hang out. Madoka starts hearing a weird voice in her head. Like, oh, you gotta save me. I'm gonna die. Don't let me die. That would be bad.
He does die, though.
Well, he dies a lot, but that's fine.
Twice. Apparently. That was an inconsistency, though. Because he dies. He's dead when she's outside the window. I guess that could be a different timeline.
I think that's a different timeline.
I guess would be the way to go about that. But then he's dead in that scene. You find out later. And then he has his replacement who gets saved by Madoka.
How nice of her.
And then you have him getting shot.
I suppose the lesson is don't pick up strays.
Why?
Well, they give you weird presents.
Maybe I have a wish I need to fulfill.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Is it an important wish?
It's very important.
So worth giving up your soul?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I mean, if you have a soul. I don't know if it'll work for you.
Oh, that was low. That was low. That hurts. I'm crying over here. Did you enjoy that a little bit where they're chasing him down and...
It's fine. It's an introduction.
I was intrigued. I was like, okay, what's happening here?
It's part of what made me like Kyubey, though, is because it felt like it was all part of his plan. Like, okay, this feels staged.
He is a conniving jerk, but we just go and excuse it away by the fact that he's some alien kid. That's what makes him not great. He's serviceable and he's important to the plot.
I mean, it's weird that he's an alien, but, like, it makes sense also because, there's no creature that's quite like him on Earth. So, an alien would make sense.
Maybe we haven't discovered them yet. Maybe the time of magical girls is upon us.
It could be. Maybe they already exist and we just don't know it.
I mean, I'm asleep by that point, so there's no way I will ever know. I am too old for that game at this point. But then they're just gonna figure everything out from there with Mommy. But then you hash things out with Mommy.
Not a good name, but that's okay.
I don't know. It sounds weird, but it's fine. Like, I wasn't really bothered by it. I was more confused why she lived by herself as a middle schooler. I get why she doesn't have parents. That's fine. You tied that for me. Why is she allowed to live by herself? What is she doing to make money? She can't work at night. She's a magical girl.
I assume she just does whatever she wants. Maybe she threatens the owner of the apartment building.
I just don't really understand. Right? That was a problem.
It does kind of act like these kids are all a little bit older than they actually are, but
they look like middle schoolers.
Yeah, they do.
So I was confused by that. But they become, good old friends.
Real chummy.
They start witch hunting together.
I feel like they take it pretty well, this whole, like, witch thing. They're like, yeah, I guess we'll go with you for a couple witch hunts. That sounds fine. See what that's all about.
I mean, I feel like it's only because she's there, they witnessed it. Right, it makes sense. They experienced it. And so now it's like, okay, I guess maybe this is true.
Well, I'm not saying I'm just saying that they take it pretty easily, all things considered. But I guess you could also argue, because there is this, like, time loop, and it seems to be, like, impressions, at the least, for Madoka. I kind of left through the timelines. So I guess you could kind of maybe argue that they're already subconsciously adjusted for it.
I don't know, I just think it makes sense. Like, they went through a crazy event, and Mommy was there to save them. Boom. Now they're, being told this weird thing. This transfer girl who's cold and aloof and kind of mean has, come and tried to commit animal abuse, and
Can't let that happen.
she was pretty threatening and mean. Like, I'm just saying, it all makes sense that, like, they feel like they're on the side of good, and this works because they had an experience with it. But them witch hunting was fine, whatever. It served a nice purpose for them to kind of build some relations and get you some character development.
Yeah, I mean, it works pretty well. And right, like a lot of people talked about how the show, the first couple episodes, don't really give away the tone of the show. And I don't know that I completely agree, because you see the witch's labyrinth there pretty fast, and that's clearly, like, weird. Also, the art change with the labyrinths. I don't know how I feel about it.
Let me tell you how I feel about it, because I am decisive and knew how I felt about that time one.
You hated it.
Unlike you. I really liked it.
Did you?
Yeah, and here's why I liked it.
Okay.
Because the show is rather dull looking in the real world.
Yeah.
Purposefully. And I think that works. It sets the tone for this is a darker show. Which is where I don't know how you watched these first couple episodes and thought you didn't understand the tone of the show. You suck. That's what the reasoning is. Anyway. Back on track here. And so when you go in there and it's colorful. It's not like brightly colored, but it's colorful. And it's supposed to be this weird differentiation between the real world and it's a labyrinth that's supposed to be confusing and mess with you. And it looks like it's supposed to do that. It really sets the shift between the real world and the labyrinth.
You know what it kind of reminded me of?
Let's hear it.
Alice in Wonderland.
I knew it. I knew that's where we were going.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, it doesn't really look like Alice in Wonderland at all, but you're going to bring it up, and you did.
It's not about
True
look.
to form.
It's not about look. It's about the oddness of it, right? Because in Alice, she goes there and all the animals are weird and whatnot. And you go into this labyrinth and everything's weird and not correct and drawn really weird. My problem with it is that sometimes the drawing looked really bad. Sometimes it was good. There was aspects that would be good, and then sometimes it would be bad again. I felt like even within its own world, it wasn't really consistent. I just felt like it was kind of a jarring look. I like the idea of it being different, but I just don't feel like the execution was a style that I liked looking at.
I think it was a gamble move. I think it was a move where some people were going to get it and really like it. People like you who are very visual oriented were going to immediately feel jarred that we are in a radically different art style. And then I think it's purposefully crude. Right, I think it's purposefully supposed to be kind of crude looking.
It's definitely purposeful.
I didn't hate that. I'm not going to sit here and be like, that was the most pleasant thing I've ever seen in my life, because it wasn't. But I liked how it worked together.
I think my major problem is that it made the witches uninteresting, because they kind of just blended in with everything else in the labyrinth. And I guess maybe that's like a mechanism of defense. But it's never really addressed that way, I suppose. And I kind of would think that your witches you would want to make stand out and be kind of cool, even within their own world. And then it, like, tried to give them these titles with, like, letters that are illegible. So I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that.
I stopped paying attention to the letter thing. Once I realized it wasn't for me to read, I moved on.
Just thought that was kind of dumb. The only one we ever get a name of is, like, the big boss. Walpurgisnacht or whatever it was.
Look, I saw it and I went, I won't say that right.
Yeah, it's kind of a nonsense one.
But I think that's from the perspective on your end that the witches were supposed to be like the antagonists. And I never believed that. I from the get-go went, Cube, buddy, you are the antagonist of this show. Done. I pretty much figured that the witches were former magical girls. Like early. Like basically episode 1, that was my hunch.
Well, I figured once I saw the grief seed or whatever, I was like, oh, okay, yeah. Why does that look just like the core of a soul for a magical girl? Gee, that's a hard 2 and 2. But I agree that they're clearly not necessarily the antagonists, but I still feel like they're a large part of the show, and you could have taken a little bit of time to make them kind of neat. But it is what it is. They're not.
I think they looked fine. They looked well enough. I got it. I liked it. I feel like I'm the person who got it, and it worked for me. I'm like you. Just low class over there.
Yeah,
you know what the problem is?
I'm not as tasteful as you.
You're not a righteous man. That's the problem.
I don't claim to be a righteous man, no.
Yeah, but I am. And so I gotta make sure that people understand that if you liked the labyrinth looks, it's because you're righteous. It's the key point here.
Okay.
But back to, on point. Mommy dies there.
She does.
And I liked that. I was like, yeah, you just had to witness this girl dying.
Were you surprised he died so early?
Yeah, I was like, wow, this is pretty good. You're pretty quick on that.
Did you think she was gonna die?
Oh, I 100% knew she was gonna die.
Okay.
I was like, there's no way you live. You're nice, you're upbeat, but you got like, some problems back here. Oh yeah. You have all the death flags. They're like super glued to you. You can't get away from this. You will die. I didn't think she was gonna die that early, but she died that early. My friend comes in, saves the day.
She does.
And I feel like at that point, you should probably have guessed that she's using time manipulation stuff.
Did you?
No. I didn't get it till it was full on explained to me. I was like, how did I not okay. I'm an idiot.
Oh man, I didn't know either, but I was really hoping it was teleportation, which is one of my favorite like magic abilities in fiction. I really like it. Like how it's displayed in like X-Men 2 with Nightcrawler, how he like teleports around. I think that's really cool. That's one of my favorites. So I was kind of hoping it was that, but it wasn't. It was time control, which is also extremely popular.
I liked it. My thing with it is I liked her little shield thing or whatever, her time mechanism thing on her arm. Because every time I saw it, I was like, oh, look at you. You're almost as cool as Renoa, except not. Every time. That's what it looked like to me.
If she had a dog.
I mean, she had Cube. They had a tenuous relationship, but she had Cube.
Yeah. I don't see him jumping on the disc and flying towards an enemy, though.
I mean, his remains might be on the disc.
That's more probable.
Same.
But he's got to eat his own remains, so...
Only in the one scene. That was really weird, too.
I liked it.
I just didn't have any good explanation to it. That's the problem of it.
Keep the resource, I suppose.
I don't really know. There wasn't much left of him anyway. Got shot like 8 times. But then Sayaka becomes the magical girl after some meandering. And I feel like that was good, right? I liked that we took some downtime here to be like, wow, some middle school children just watched, someone they were becoming fast friends with die.
Yeah.
And they're shaken up. They don't want to do this anymore. That's reasonable.
I think they handle a lot of it pretty well in that they have realistic experiences with it and they question things and they think, oh, is wishing for something and getting a guaranteed wish worth it? Well, I don't know. They question it for a little while. But then Sayaka, she succumbs to the desire.
She does. I feel like the wish thing, though, I'm a tangent just a little bit here, is kind of like how I view like a tattoo, right? I'm like, a tattoo might be cool. But what do I want on my body permanently? Right? It's a big decision, right? In my world. I am stuck with this thing for the rest of my life. Like, this is what your life is about. Now, like, you gave everything for this. It's a big decision. And I feel like, yeah, them holding off really gave weight to that. Made it feel like it was a real decision. And Sayaka failed. She succumbed to the desire of her... I don't really know what he was until way later. I don't know if they were, like, dating before that, or, like, it's her sibling, or anything. Except that they're childhood friends, and I find that out way late. Like, their relationship, I was always kind of like, I don't really get it. I don't know what you guys are.
Well, they did show a flashback. It was pretty quick. Of her as, like, a child watching him.
That doesn't mean much to me. Like, I don't know what that means. That means you've known him for a while. I can tell you've known him for a while. You're the only person who comes and visits him.
His parents don't.
I mean, they might, but she was the big deal, right? I don't know what really happened to him.
An accident?
Yeah, and...
I don't know.
The whole thing that surrounds that, I was pretty critical of that. I was like, okay, really? Like, it was good for her to have that and develop and it to be there.
Yeah, that's clearly the purpose.
But it just needed a little bit more thought. A little bit.
You know what I was really hoping for with this, though?
What?
Is we get the scene where she, like, takes him up to the roof and they all, like, celebrate his recovery.
Mm-hmm.
Because the scene before that, they're, like, being like, careful what you wish for or whatever. Not in those words, but kind of the idea. And then I thought we were going to go up there and then this kid was going to get killed. And that would have been pretty crazy.
That is not what I thought about that scene. I thought she's taking him up to the roof because she's going to show him that she's a magical girl and tell him everything. And then she failed. She didn't do that.
I was thinking he was going to die there and that would be like a really brutal scene, but...
I think that would have been dark for the sake of dark.
Right? Oh, yeah, it would have been. But I just thought maybe.
I mean, it could have been good because I like dark. But I think this show, as I already stated, handled darkness exactly how it should have. Because she starts to regret it a little bit, and she starts to get all sad that, he's kind of closed off to her, and And he was kind of a jerk, right? He moved on to bigger and better fish.
That's right.
Because, she wasn't good enough, I guess. Come by the hospital all the time and bring you music and try and be a good friend to you. That's not good enough.
Not in his world. No.
He single-handedly turned his life around, and he just shunned her.
Yeah, I thought it was weird when Hitomi was like, oh, well, I'm going to go ask him out. That whole thing. I was just like, was this really necessary? I guess it drives Sayaka to, like, more despair or whatever, but it just felt weird for the tone of the show. I don't know. I didn't really like it.
It worked as a plot device. I moved on. It worked to, like, move things forward and for her to, like, realize how jacked up this was. And thematically, we've been like, like, the wish always kind of comes to despair. And, like, now I don't know why. I don't really understand what her problem was with, like, confessing to this kid. Just be like, look, I made your life better by giving up my whole body. And now it's not real, kind of, but it is still corporal. You're welcome. I did it because I love you. Like, I don't know. I feel like anybody's going to have to hard consider, like, I radically changed my entire life because I care that much about you. Really? Okay. Like, it's a big deal.
They are middle schoolers, right? The whole idea is that you want the young girls of this age because they're the most... What was the phrasing?
Like, they have the most turbulent emotional problems, basically. Men, we don't have emotions.
No, we cut those off. We cut those off real young.
That's another deal where it just hurts the show a little bit that we don't ever, like, even just like, we just saw or we found men aren't compatible with the magical device, so it has to be magical girls. Okay. Great. Just a one-line convenient statement.
It is what it is, right? It's not that big a deal. I don't think it's a problem, but it's definitely never addressed in a way that makes any sense.
It's never brought up.
Yeah.
We've just decided that, look, it's a magical girl show, you won't even question it. And it's like, that's fair, I probably shouldn't. And I realized I wasn't going to get answers, but I still wanted it.
I guess the only excuse would be girls are more turbulent in their emotions, so they're better by default in this case.
Mm-hmm.
I would guess that's the reasoning.
Sexism at its finest over here coming out of your mouth.
Well, Japan, they don't have any sexism over there.
No, they don't.
Yeah, it doesn't exist.
Don't be besmirching Japan over here.
But we get Sayaka having a bad time.
She has a real not great time as a magical girl. And I knew that was happening. We all knew that was happening. Yeah, you get a nice little time with Madoka and Homura doing their thing. Kind of being closer, but not really. Just having a good time. But then, on the flip side, you get my good friend, Sayaka, and her rival,
Kyoko.
Kyoko. I didn't really like Kyoko except for as to make fun of, really. Like, her eating all the time, she was kind of funny to make fun of. I liked her design. I liked her fighting a lot. I really liked the pole, spear, chain thing. It's a good design.
It's a cool weapon.
So,
I liked her philosophy at first. I felt a little disappointed with her arc in the last episode or two before she dies. I was a little disappointed. I was wanting her to stay true to her, like, philosophy a little bit longer. But I guess, with the 12 episodes, you gotta get through it. That was my only real disappointment. Otherwise, I liked her.
I liked her backstory.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Like, that it was just like... It was very accurate, I felt like. Like, in a really conservative society, he said something that wasn't necessarily in the Bible, but it might have been true. We didn't need to delve down those details in this show, which was a very good call.
Yeah.
Because I probably would have been taken out by that. But he, basically gets disenfranchised, and he felt really gypped.
And killed his family.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that could be a really realistic end, though. Like, all of your fame that you were elated by was built on lies, basically.
Or a higher power.
I feel like it's going to come across as like lies, though. Nobody's there because they want to be there.
I agree, but my point being that it wasn't necessarily that they were lied to, it's that they were controlled to believe. Yeah.
But it's still a lie on his part. He believed that they were there for him. But they weren't. They were there because they had to be, basically. And I don't know if that's exactly how I would go about that. Maybe they were really there for him after they had, gotten through their emotional, problems, that they were going to choose not to listen to him. Right? It doesn't go into that. It didn't need to.
That's not the purpose.
It gave her a nice tragic backstory. Probably
Probably the most tragic of all of them, really. Like, wow. That's kind of a unfortunate past he got going. But I think that part was interesting. I did like the animation of that because it changes to so like this like weird.
They're like popsicle stick.
Yeah, it's
things.
like these pencil drawn puppets almost, and I kind of liked that.
I thought it was kind of weird that she like was in the animations using the puppets. I really needed her to not be the one using the puppets.
It doesn't really make sense, but whatever. It looked cool.
It looked fine. Looked as good as most of the show. So I was pretty okay with that. I like the food wasting thing. I was like, yeah, you don't waste no food.
I'll freaking kill you. Don't you dare throw that apple on the ground.
But it really conveys like the emotive point that she grew up in desperation, right?
Yeah, grew up hungry.
And she's a street rat, basically. Sayaka and Kyoko kind of become frenemy things. And then Sayaka, flips her case, basically. I really like the train scene.
Oh, where they or Madoka throws the soul gem? No,
I did like that as a scene. We'll start back there because that's earlier. I like that. That was a deal I did not see coming. I was like, okay. But she threw it, and I was like, oh no, bad things are happening now. I'm a little confused as to like how that exactly works because it wasn't explained super well. But I'm like, all right, that's fine.
Be within perimeter of your body.
Yeah, but does your body start to deteriorate when it goes away?
I'd assume so.
Like, I don't know, but if your body already isn't inhabited, like, does it matter? Would it decay anyway? Like, it's still corporeal? I don't really know.
Cube will eat it.
And I didn't really want to question it, because I was entertained anyway, so I moved on. But it has some problems with it trying to explain itself, but not big enough that I cared.
I was hoping she was actually dead in that scene, because that would have been pretty crazy.
I wish that she had died there, because then Madoka would have killed her friend. It would have been really tragic. But again, I feel like that's dark for the sake of dark.
I think it would have worked with the reveal of like what the soul gems were.
It could have worked. That scene also serves the purpose to show that my girl cares about Madoka, right? It sets the tone that she's not completely cold and callous. She just says what she needs to say and does what she needs to do.
Your girl being Homura.
Always. Homura is my girl. Nice black flowing hair. The hair thing also really did it for me. I really like she just like flaunts how cool and great her hair is above everybody else.
She does flip it quite a bit.
But in such dramatic fashion though. It's pretty funny to me. I liked it. But the train scene I'm talking about is where she's basically, Sayaka has basically given up.
Oh, and she's got those two boys on it?
Yeah, two men or whatever who are just like clear, like terrible people. Well, the one might not be terrible, but he's getting some terrible advice. And the other guy is like a wife beater. Just a terrible human being, outspokenly about it. And it's awful. But it really conveys like into her despair, like what she's got is like, well, I can still save people and do things. And she's kind of still in that line, and then she comes across the dregs of society over here, man. She's like, is this world even worth saving? Right? And it really sold that to me.
Did she kill them?
Oh, 100% she murdered them.
I hope so, because that would make it a lot better.
I think that needed to be resolved, what happened to them.
Yeah, you could have just shown like a body or something. But you just see her going kind of weird looking, and then that's it.
I thought maybe she turned into a witch there until the scenes after.
What I thought was happening was like, oh, she's going witch mode. Oh, no? Oh, okay, I don't really know what that was. Maybe it was just like a momentary lapse. I don't know. It's a weird display of power that's never addressed.
It has a problem. But I liked the scene enough that I moved on. Mm-hmm. I was engaged with how that went, and I think it just sold itself really well.
Okay.
Because I feel like you get people who say things similar to that, right? Not to the extreme. But I've heard people be like, you gotta be in power and in control in your relationship because women will walk all over you type things, right?
Yeah, some people definitely think that.
Not necessarily you need to take your power by physical force, but that's kind of the final deal in place because Sayaka's turned and Kyoko is being an idiot.
Yeah.
That didn't make a lot of sense why she was gonna be nice. But that's fine, whatever.
Because they're friends.
Are they friends?
Yeah. We met in middle school.
We did meet in middle school.
And we were this chummy.
We were not as chummy as Kyoko and Sayaka.
No.
Because they are frenemies.
I feel like we're frenemies.
I don't. I definitely don't. Maybe other people think so.
It's possible.
Anyway, but Kyoko goes over there, brings Madoka along, and does her whole deal, gets murdered.
It happens.
I like that she took the abuse for a while. Like, she didn't get murdered, does she? She uses all her soul gem thing.
I was a little confused because he, like, pulls out her hair clip and then she, like, stabs it and makes a big explosion. And I'm like, okay, so that was your gem. And then you attacked it, and then by doing that, you could cause an explosion?
You released the latent energy in it, was my assumption.
My biggest problem with that is, like, later on we see, like, soul gems get hit, like, purposely by each other, and then they just kind of die and there's no explosion. So I don't know if that has to be, like, a willful release. I thought, okay, if these are destroyed in that manner, this will happen, but then that's not it, so I don't really understand.
They weren't in the witch world.
That's true, it could be that.
I don't know. I was engaged that people were getting murdered. Yeah. I was like, yeah, murder some people. Straight up, though.
2 of your cast died there, so.
In that timeline, yeah, just boom.
3 down.
That's pretty good. But then, when Kyubey comes out, he's like, I was doing it. Basically, make sure that Madoka has to become a magical girl, because now you're stuck alone.
Aren't I the nicest guy ever?
But don't worry, I'm not conniving. Just doing what needs to be done.
That's all I'm doing.
Real believable, Kyubey. Real believable.
So, they're all dead.
Yeah, everybody's dead. Madoka's real sad and tragic and not doing good.
It's fair to be sad over that.
She's kind of shutting people out. And then the day comes. There's nothing important before that, is there?
You get the scene where she's talking to Kyubey, and he's like, yeah, if you could do anything you want with your power. And she's like, anything? I could, bring them back? And he's like, yeah, you could become God if you wanted to. That's pretty cool, huh? Why don't you go ahead and just make a wish? That sounds pretty nice, huh? And then he gets shot.
Oh, yeah, but he never commits that he can bring them back with the wish. Just that she could obtain the power to do that.
Yeah,
It's a very clear distinction, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, the shot scene, though. Again, a scene where I definitely should have understood that she used time magic. Nope. Not working. Still didn't get it.
Okay.
Still woefully lost in the woods.
You're just like, how did that work?
I was like, what the heck, woman? I was like, the best quick draw ever.
She is a bit of a gunslinger, to be fair.
I mean, she uses a lot of guns.
It's funny because Mommy, she's the shotgun-wielding magic girl. And then we got her, Homura over here with just military-grade assault rifles and miniguns and whatever else. Well, they're not nukes, but she has bombs. She has just an assortment of artillery. Just, magical girl things.
My favorite thing is that she, lands in the water and out of it starts coming up these missile launchers. And you're just like...
Missile silos? Okay.
Woman, how prepared are you for this? Pretty prepared. I feel like you up the firepower every time.
Yeah, it was kind of cool.
It was a good looking scene.
Yeah, it was neat.
You knew she was gonna fail.
Yeah, definitely. Before that, though, you get an episode entirely dedicated to explaining her, though.
Yeah, I like that.
You like that episode?
I thought it was good.
Did you like that it just jumps right into it without any, pretext? It's just boom, next episode.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
I think that this show could have ran itself in a different format, and it would have worked better, in my opinion. But the way they ran it, I think worked just fine. Right? I think you could have done a little longer on this show.
I kind of wish the show had an extra 2 episodes.
Oh, no, I think you could have done more than that. I think you could have probably done a whole nother 12.
But
you restructure it entirely. You start in the original timeline with her. And they're going through, doing their thing. It seems like things are going okay. And then you cut the axe on it. And then it really turns itself dark. And then you have some episode or 2 in between where, Homura is struggling with this, going through her time loop thing, doing her thing. And then we start in this timeline. We do a hard shift to the timeline we're ending in. With the dream sequence, basically, and you go, okay, and then you would have more knowledge, and you'd be like, well, this is clearly gotta be the timeline where things go right, and it's all good, but it still doesn't seem like it's going good, and it really would have sold it, I think, better for me. I don't hate how they did it.
Yeah, that would have been a pretty different show.
But I think that would have been more engaging and giving you some room to breathe and explain some things and do things a little better. But they didn't.
No.
They didn't do that. I respect that they still did it well.
It works pretty well. It's done well for being 12 episodes, especially.
Basically, Madoka becomes God.
Transcends. That's a good... That's the goal we should all strive to...
Transcendence into God?
Yeah.
I don't know that fits my ideology here. So I'm going to need you to stop being a heretic and be a little more righteous.
Need to hear the righteous one, not I.
And I need you to be a little more righteous.
No.
A little bit.
I like the heretical ideas.
You disappoint me, as always. But the show didn't disappoint.
Something didn't.
Well, I like the ending. I like that it resolves the key people in her life. And it just kind of shows, everything worked it out.
I thought it was a little weird that her brother kind of remembered her.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with people still having fragments and memories. I don't really understand the end scene where there, and he's like, Madoka! And Homura comes up, my girl, doing her thing. And then she's like, oh, sorry for the inconvenience. Like, looks like she's gonna walk away. And then they're like sitting there hours later, just talking, having a good time.
Like, they got stopped.
Like, what? That's a little weird. I need a little bit more transitionary there would have helped that.
Her mom, or Madoka's mom just came and tackled her. She's like, no, you stop right there.
I mean, she's a fierce businesswoman. She gets what she wants.
That's true.
I like that. Yeah, you could have explained more about her if you'd done it the way I think, and given her like a real, like, this is what you're actually doing in your business, and like what your business is, and some of that. And I just would have liked that more because I'm a detailed person.
Yeah, but it's you got 12 episodes. That's a pretty tight runtime.
I get it. That's what I'm saying. I respect how they did it. I just think that another 12 or so could have really helped them out.
Yeah.
And made this a better show. But I assume they weren't sure they were going to get more, and they just went for it. Made it happen. Yeah,
well, I mean, it was an original concept, and I assume that they just planned it out as this. It had a pretty positive response on release.
Did it? People really liked it?
Yeah, I think even on Mal, it still has a pretty good rating. It's like an 8 something.
That's pretty decent.
It was popular when it came out. It was a big one the year it released, which, 11 years ago now. That's crazy.
I mean, I remember hearing good things about it. I never watched it clearly until then. Or until now.
We're a little behind the times.
Well, I mean, a little bit, but that's fine.
We're catching up.
Slowly, but surely. Yeah, I like that she resolves everything with her people. I don't really love the very last scene. The very last bit with my girl going into weirdness, and then Madoka's like, do your best or whatever.
That's like the post-credits
Yeah,
scene.
Just the very last thing. I was like, what is exactly happening? Why? This is a little weird.
Yeah, that seems really unnecessary.
Yeah. I respect also that the ending still has, like, they still got to fight things and be magical girls. Like, we didn't just say, like, you rewrote the laws of the universe and evil is gone. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a little naive. I like that Cube was still there, just hanging. He's still part of this. I was happy to see that. Like, yeah, my boy, still here.
I mean, he had to still be there. I don't understand his race or where they come from or anything about them, which would have been nice. Again, a little bit longer. Well, quite a bit longer.
Yeah.
And you could have had some time for that.
Yeah, I mean, it worked. I think the ending is fine, if a little predictable towards the end, but it works. It does resolve well. It feels like something you can walk away and be like, all right, I got a conclusion. And I think it works tonally for the show. Like, the show already played itself as being a little weird and out there and a little dark. And the ending is a little somber. It's not super happy, but it's not, like, sad either. I wouldn't really call it bittersweet, though. Like, I'd say it's kind of a somber tone.
Melancholic.
And so, I like that. I think it's fitting. But it's not something where I'm going to walk away from and be like, wow. You know what was a really cool ending? Madoka.
Oh, I feel like I will remember Madoka as like a good show.
Oh, okay.
I was thoroughly pleased with this show.
That's good. I'm glad.
More pleased than I thought I would be. Like, I thought I'd enjoy this show well enough, but it was better than that.
When did you decide this is good?
I was probably 2 or 3 episodes in. I was like, this is good. I'm liking this. And then we kill Mommy. We really start into the dark status of it. Yeah. And that really, really sold it for me.
All right. I mean, right on.
You know what also helps this? The audio is good. It's not memorable.
No.
It's not like, oh yeah, I remember the audio was really great in this scene. But there's never a scene that I think like, man, the audio screwed this up. There's never any sound effects that I felt like were weird or off. It was dramatic when it needed to be dramatic.
The only music I can recall is the opening.
The openings and endings were not great, basically.
I kind of like parts of the opening. I like the visual of the opening of the opening, where she's standing on water and it's raining.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a cool shot. It sets the tone for the show, but then it gets kind of happy, and then it doesn't set the tone. But I do like that opening shot. I think that's pretty cool.
Mm. I mean, the best part about the opening is the cat. The cat who never appears, never comes back, never important.
It's just a cat.
Just a black cat that she's just floating on the water with.
I wonder if it's like a reference to Sailor Moon.
Oh, maybe. I didn't think about that. Maybe it's supposed to be a little call there.
That's the only thing I could imagine.
Or it's, if Cube didn't exist, he would just be a black cat. He'd be black because he's white.
Yeah.
And this thing, so you gotta contrast it to he's a good color of cat.
I suppose.
I don't know. It was kind of weird. I noticed the cat time one, and I was waiting for this cat for so long. And then I eventually decided that the cat didn't exist.
Cat doesn't exist. It's just a tease.
Well, I just thought one of them needed to have a cat, and it'd be kind of cute and cool.
Yeah. But the show did get 3 endings. 3 different ending songs.
Yeah, one of them was there only like for 2 episodes or something, or 1.
1 episode.
Yeah.
It worked because clearly they're trying to set like the tone for that episode and the ending of that episode. I get it, but when you only have 12 episodes, it's a little weird. I
just didn't feel like any of them were like songs that stood out or they were inoffensive. But I also was kind of just like, all right, let's move on.
I know you really liked the credit stills.
Yeah, the post-credit stills.
Oof.
Or whatever.
Those got a little weird.
They were, like I said, who they were by, and most of them I didn't understand why almost everything looked fine, except their faces looked god-awful and stupid every time. Almost.
Well, I think the motto, when they came to writing this anime, they said, okay, we're going to write something. People are going to love it. But they can't love everything about it. What should they hate? And they said, the faces of the characters.
Okay, but I wasn't bothered by the faces normally. Just at the very end with the weird stills. No, I shouldn't have been. The faces were fine.
No.
You're just jealous because you can't look like that. You got this big old scruffy beard.
Yeah, the beard, it doesn't help. But when I become a magical girl, I assume my beard will just go away.
No, it's going to grow really long, and that's going to be your weapon.
Oh, that could be cool.
Yeah.
I could get down with that.
Gonna connect to. You're gonna grow some hair on the top of your head.
That'd be useful.
Then it will connect to your beard, and it'll be a weapon that way.
Okay.
Maybe you want to draw that out later, like Madoka. You can be drawing your stuff out.
Yeah, I'll draw my uniform.
Anyway, you got any other grand, wonderful points you need to bring up? Character scenes, how much you loved this.
I was trying to think if there was any wish I could conceive of where, not knowing all the rules, but given from the premise, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can grant any wish, but you have to become this hunter of witches. Is there anything that I would be like, yeah, totally worth? I couldn't come up with anything. That seems like a really hard ask, actually. It's not the same as oh, you get 3 wishes. You get 1 wish.
In exchange, though, like a genie in a lamp type thing, 3 wishes for free.
Yeah.
Right? The consequences that come from that are just natural consequences. I have to give up my entire life. And go fight these things at night. And we already discussed. Not happening.
Yeah. You're ooh.
Not happening.
I'm not much of a night walker,
I'm a low-risk person. And you want me to be up at when? Ooh, no, I'm 9 o'clock. It's bedtime.
No, I don't know. I just feel like I like how heavy of a question it is for the show. Because that's a real, it's not like the genie where you can be like, oh, I was rich, or, whatever. It's, okay, well, you can have a wish, but the consequences are pretty severe.
Yeah, what would you trade your soul for, right?
Yeah, and, I think that's a cool question. And I like that the show tries to take it seriously. All the reasons seem pretty reasonable that were given. Well, I'm trying to remember Homura's. What was hers?
She basically does the same thing that Madoka does in the beginning.
Oh, right. Oh,
right,
I wonder...
she's at the end.
Yeah, she wants to, save him. Okay.
She wishes to be saved and get sent back, and then her power is time stuff, and she can be sent back. Because she walks in that first time, and she's like, Madoka, I've become a magical girl, so let's do our best together.
That was pretty funny.
Woo! And you're like, okay.
That would be, a little embarrassing, but that was a pretty funny scene. But I like how seriously that question is answered. There's, no frivolous answers, and I think that's pretty cool. I think that's a good aspect of the show.
Yeah, the weight of the question is felt. It's palpable. It's good. But moving on from that, I don't have any other grand, wonderful points to bring up. Well, it's been a pleasure, as always.
Always a pleasure.
And if you found this to be a pleasurable experience, because that's what we aim to give you here, you need to like, you need to comment, you need to subscribe, you need to leave some suggestions, whether animes we should watch, whatever you want us to review. It's important, because we're doing this for your pleasure.
That's right. It could be a wild choice, like a K-pop album or something.
You make sure that you tell your favorite magical girl, the one that lives in your city, because you all have to have one. It's split by territories is what Madoka taught us.
True.
So you go seek her out, and you let her know. So that way, while she's lonely, hunting witches, she got something to listen to. Consider it.
That would be nice of you. Very considerate.
Alright, let's hear it. Let's hear your great score.
I'm gonna give Puella Magi Madoka Magica a solid 6 out of 10.
I'm gonna give this an 8 out of 10.
Have at us.